very much. Joining us now is Major Sinha. Mr. Sinha, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Let me start by asking you what you have made of the past 50 days. Whether to term demonetization as a success or a failure will depend on what the objectives are. Now, the government stated objectives from the 8th of November to what they have said over the past several weeks have changed. So if I were to ask you to qualify what has transpired over the past 50 days and the impact on India, what would you say?
You know, when Henry Kissinger met Chow En-lai in 1970, he asked him, what do you think of the French Revolution in 1789? And Chow En-lai said, it's a bit early to tell. Now, with 50 days, with a measure which is quite as massive as taking out 1,500 rupee notes, to have any conclusive view is just foolish. I can say, if we were to divide the political and the economic, I must say that the people have supported this move. Whichever way you look at it, there are no riots, there are no bunds, there are no blockages. You know, I mean, it's quite remarkable that there is this general passion in India that black money of any kind has been corroding it, and so there is a support at a political level which seems obvious. If you look at it, you know, November was a month which shocked industry. It was completely surprised, and there have been many places which noticed falls. Now, I have to say, BCG does not have a view rate. We've spoken to 40, 50, I think 50 or 60 CEOs to just get a sense, you know, what's going on, how are they looking at it. And what we find is that December is different from November. People have seen that December has improved a lot from November. That some industries have been hurt more than others. Whichever was more discretionary has been hurt more than those which were core. North and East have been hit more than South and West. T4 towns and the informal cash economy has been hit more than places which had alternatives. Having said that, the December pickup is palpable, and the mood in the CEOs seems to be that this is a 1 quarter or 1.5 quarter thing and not long term as many had worried. But this is their view. When I look at it, you know, if you look at things like trucks, cycles, and in some forms, some parts of cement, you can see an impact. If you look at packaged foods, apparel, high-end mobiles, there's been a quick recovery. There has been a spurt in online grocery. And you know, even though there were some reports that online payments have come down, they were all comparing it to October, which is the Diwali season. And November, of course, the economy itself had shrunk a bit, so there were less transactions. But December, you can see the number of transactions rising. So if you really look at it, it depends how you want to call it. Now, the move towards digital, you know, I had in 2014 written an article saying that we should abolish cash to create financial inclusion. So I am very positive about a movement towards digital payments. But for that, we need to expand the infrastructure. We need to, you know, make origination a universal UPI wallet, incentivize the smartphone, do zero-rated banking applications, increase acceptance massively, Aadhaar-enabled payment systems, strengthen the back end. But most importantly, we have to increase awareness and increase trial. And one of the things that this note ban has done is that everyone today in India is searching for alternatives. And we have to take advantage of this to actually create alternatives that can actually be picked up. So there has to be grassroots training, there has to be a 24/7 call center, there has to be public awareness campaigns showing you what this is. We have to you know, digital will be starting from a very small base, and cash is a very large incumbent system. So we have to do things to disincentivize cash and to incentivize digital transactions. We have to ensure that, you know, the people to merchant and the merchant to merchant. The merchant to merchant transactions, which could switch easily, are constrained because of the fear of taxation. We have to say no retrospective taxation. We have to give relief in prospective taxation. We have to create a simplified tax structure for people coming in. So some of those things have to go with this. Otherwise, this huge step will not capture its full value. And then one very important thing which has not been captured enough in the press is that we have to equally work on the security and risks. We have to ensure that cyber risk is taken as seriously as it needs to be. You know, I mean, if Hillary Clinton can say that Russia could go into the Democratic parties, you know, I mean, this is a very serious thing. This is our payment system. So I'm sure it's on our mind, but we have to put it as a top thing.
You know, you were talking about several aspects of what will need to be done, because you view demonetization as a series of steps and not just an end in itself. But if we were to talk about some of those steps that you were talking about, simplification of taxes, perhaps a reduction as far as taxes are concerned, whether it's corporate or personal income tax, the big view now is that maybe the reset could start as early as budget 2017. How crucial is this budget going to be? I mean, we say that every year, but specifically, how meaningful and how crucial will budget 2017 be to be the next step or next series as part of the demonetization exercise?
So, you know, in one way, Shireen, I look at this demonetization exercise having begun in 2014 with the JAM Trinity, with the Jan Dhan accounts, with Aadhaar rollout, and with the mobile phone. And it then got the, you know, the voluntary disclosure schemes and this discussion about GST and, you know, the overall movement. Now, I think the budget in 2017 creates enormous opportunity. You know, if it is not taken advantage, I mean, so I look at it more as how much advantage can we take of this great opportunity of, you know, the shot that has gone through the system of public awareness. So, you know, there's a lot of talk about NPCI creating a wallet, which is a national wallet. Can we put a little bit of money in it, you know, to encourage trial for people? There are 100, 200 rupees. You know, if you can get this 200 rupees if you try it. Or, you know, can we incentivize smartphones, you know, the use, because there will be digital apartheid in the world, which will be more than any other apartheid that we have seen as we go into the next 10 years, especially in a country like India with the number of people who are under 25. So what do we do for the 15 to 25 that they do not get excluded from data and they can actually get access to all that comes with it, you know, that advantage. So when I look at it, you know, I mean, I think that this is one shock. You know, you put in a shock saying demonetization, right? I mean, of 500 and 1,000 rupee notes. I get it. But this creates a lot of opportunity, but that opportunity is not easy to have. And if anyone thinks this will get done in 3 months, etc., it's a mistake. This is a 3-year movement. And if we lose passion and energy on this 3-year movement, we would have given up one of the opportunities of a lifetime. And so that is how I look at the budget. How much of this opportunity which we have created by undergoing pain for 50, 60 days, you know, I mean, or for 90 days, that the people of India have supported, how can we really convert this opportunity into taking its full value? That's what I would like to see over the next 2-3 years, you know, because it will take that much time to get to a new steady state. Because, you know, in 2-3 months, you might have cash back, you will have cash back again. So it's easy to go back to old habits. And we have to try very deliberately and very purposefully to address that. And that is going to be really critical. You know, I mean, I really tell you, that's going to be critical. And I hope we don't lose energy, because this has been an energy-sapping exercise. And the one group of people, I have to tell you, whom I salute, despite the fact that everyone has gone after them, are the bankers. Yes. There are 1 million bankers, okay? And there have been some 50, 60 of them who have been caught in some transactions. Yes. We have to not lose the big picture. These guys, if they had decided to go slow or start working office hours, the whole economy would have come to a standstill. And I really salute them. And, you know, as this cash comes back, etc., you know, people will go back. Now, I'd like to see, you know, an increase in lending to MSME, etc., etc. But right now, they've been too busy counting notes.
No, you're absolutely right on that front. But, you know, Mr. Sinha, you were talking about capitalizing on this opportunity. But let's just take a look at the big picture as far as the economy is concerned. Credit offtake, we haven't really seen any significant improvement. Investment cycle continues to sputter along. When you talk to CEOs, whether it's domestic or foreign, what is the sense that you get now? Has this pushed things back even further? Because we were starting to think that we were on the cusp of some sort of a revival, especially as far as the investment and the capex cycle is concerned. But do you believe that that now has been pushed back even further?
So, that's a very, that's a profoundly important question, Shireen, and it really touches on a lot of things, and so to make a call is complicated. You are exactly right that in November, one had started to see the first pickup. The bad loan story had started to, the rate of slippages had started to slow down. And the fact is that we still have the bad loan problem, but as the interest rate environment comes down, bank treasury profits, etc., will start to kick in. But now we have Donald Trump getting elected. And what does he say? He talks about cut in corporate tax rates. He talks about a lot of fiscal expenditure for building infrastructure in the U.S. He talks about tariffs, possibly, for exports. So what will happen is that capital will start flowing to the U.S. and exports to the U.S. will become a bit tougher. So, that's something which one has to factor in. So, how low will interest rates come down in India? There's so much deposits that have gone in, and so that's going to help. But will it convert into credit, and at what, in which areas? How nervous are people about the MSME, which is really starved for credit right now? How does it start going in? You have the liquidity, but how do you pass on this liquidity into the market? It's an important question. So, having said all that, if you look at countries, you look at Brazil, you look at Russia, you look at Indonesia, you look at China, it is a unique situation that India is a bright spot today in the world. Whichever way you look at it, whichever set of countries you look at, other than the US, Brexit has caused so much uncertainty in Europe. The US, after the initial fear of Donald Trump's election, people are feeling that the first 2 years might actually be positive because of this, there may be M&A, there will be a lot of expenditure, consumption will go up, and the corporate taxes will come down. So people see US as being one place, but then China has a slowdown, Russia has a real problem, Brazil has a real problem, South Africa is in trouble, much of Europe is in trouble. India is really quite exciting. So everyone is looking at India. But, we have some of this which is going on right now, and it's important to see how it plays out. I mean, look, here is how I put it. We have an opportunity space ahead of us. Yes, it's absolutely correct that, what you were saying, that the capital cycle which was just starting, has it got hit a roadblock with this, and for how long? Then we are going to have GST. GST will take a year to settle. So these are all long-term measures which are going to help us in the long term. How they play out immediately is really tough to call because there are so many things going on. There is the US, there is Brexit, there is Europe, there is China. And then on the other hand, you are going to have GST that is going to follow demonetization. So, how does one weigh all this through and see all this through is an important question. But overall, I am optimistic because of the fact that there are few places which are showing as much opportunity as India. Everyone understands that even though GST will also create its own complications, it is a great measure. And if you look at these pieces coming together, there are pieces. You look, implementation you can challenge, and implementation of this order of magnitude is hard. I mean, just let's call it. It's hard. And, coordination between so many agencies of government is hard. Doing it in a country like India is hard. But a lot of these steps are interesting. You will have 1 billion people with an Aadhaar card. You will have 1 billion people with a mobile phone. You will have half that number, 500 million, with an account. And there are only 225 million households in India. So think about what opportunity spaces are getting created. Think about how the GST starts to bring in more formal economy and cuts down impediments. But, these are all the pieces. How long they will take and how quickly it will galvanize and give a fillip is anybody's guess. And then as Oscar Wilde had said, the art of prophecy is very difficult, especially about the future.
Absolutely, and certainly when we talk about times like this. But let me end by asking you about an institution that you know well, Mr. Sinha, and that's the Reserve Bank. I think through the last 50-day period, if there is one institution that has faced criticism across the board, it is the Reserve Bank of India, whether it's from former RBI hands or from outsiders. Do you believe that there has been a lot left to be desired in the manner in which the Reserve Bank has conducted itself through the course of the last 50 days?
So let me ask a few questions. Whenever decision, I've been told a lot, who took this decision, where was the decision taken. I think what we should ask very carefully is, how long was RBI in the know for 7-8 months, as is commonly believed? What was going on? There were 5 or 6 people, including the former governor, who were involved with this. They were creating a 2,000 rupee note back in June, etc. So firstly, if we want to ascribe blame, we should ascribe blame not to specific new individuals, but to individuals who were feted as the celebrities of the century or more. What was going on? They had a lot of time to think about some of these issues. Secondly, there has been, if you look at central banks across the world, you look at Janet Yellen, you look at Bank of England, the governors don't talk very much. So now that we have a governor who doesn't talk very much, it's actually the normal standard. But we just see a huge change from the past. I think the governor perhaps should talk a little bit more and just make his case a bit clearly, as everyone is hitting him and he's keeping quiet. I think he should do that.
Okay,
but
so there's merit in silence as well, is what you're saying. And perhaps we've gone from a governor who spoke too much to a governor who doesn't say very much. But Mrs. Sinha, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks very much for joining us here to analyze the last 50 days on demonetization.